Today, we're unpacking a truly radical approach to transforming your relationships. It's a method that basically asks you to take everything you thought you knew about dealing with difficult people, toss it right out the window, and instead focus on the literal only thing you actually control, yourself. So let's dive right into this inside-out paradigm.
Look, we've all been there, right? You find yourself constantly arguing with a stubborn coworker, or endlessly explaining your point of view to your partner, just wondering why all your efforts to force them to change keep failing. You push, they push back harder. It's exhausting, and honestly, it usually feels like a losing game. While there's a profound reason why those external efforts fail. Think about this quote: "Man's attempt to change the world by force is as fruitless as breaking a mirror in the hope of changing his face." Trying to force change in other people is exactly like taking a hammer and smashing a mirror just because you don't like your own reflection. It's a completely futile exercise. Section 1. The Illusion of Force. Why external effort fails.
Notice the stark contrast between these two approaches here. On one side, we have what almost everyone does, fighting the reflection through external pressure, nagging, or just outright arguing. But on the other side is the new paradigm, changing the face itself. And what that actually means is shifting your own internal assumptions. Instead of attacking the mirror, you're simply changing what's standing in front of it.
So, where did this mind-bending concept even come from? It comes directly from the metaphysical teachings of Neville Goddard. He taught a staggering idea, that your environment, and literally every single person in it, is simply your own consciousness pushed out into the physical world. Basically, your world is just objectified consciousness.
Section 2. The Mirror of Reality. Reality reflects within.
Now, Goddard posits a truly radical idea here. He says nobody comes to you of their own accord. Let that sink in for a second. No one enters your life on their own initiative, whether they're good, bad, or totally indifferent. Actually, you chose them. They are drawn to you by your current state of being. The people in your life, they're simply playing the exact parts that your concept of yourself has written for them.
But for this to make any sense at all, we've got to define consciousness exactly as it's used in this philosophy. Because it's not just your passive, everyday awareness. It's the actual living substance, the eternal head of creation, that literally shapes and solidifies into the physical environment around you. It is the unconditioned reality that takes on whatever conditions you firmly believe to be true.
Section 3. The cause is within you. As within, so without. So, if consciousness creates the reflection, how do you actually change a person? Well, you have to fundamentally stop trying to change them externally. You must change your concept of them. As the ancient maxim goes, as within, so without. There is absolutely no outer change without an inner change first. So if you don't see a shift in your relationships, remember this hard truth: you are the underlying cause. And here's where it gets really fascinating. Goddard uses this incredibly striking, maybe slightly morbid, metaphor of a decapitated chicken. He says that when you completely remove your attention from someone's old negative behavior, you literally decapitate that state. Now, just like a chicken with its head cut off, those old behaviors might twitch, jump around, and persist for a short while in your physical reality. But because you've removed your attention, which is its lifeblood, those behaviors will inevitably fade and die out.
Section 4. The Art of Mental Conversations, Subjective Communication.
In his book, Prayer, The Art of Believing, Goddard breaks down the mechanics of what he calls telepathic mental conversations. He explains that we can enter into immediate subjective communion with others. Why? Because everyone's mind is essentially a highly sensitive mirror, fully capable of subconsciously reproducing your exact beliefs about them.
Here is the exact 4-step methodology for having these subjective mental conversations. First, call the person to mind. Next, imagine hearing their voice with all the clarity of reality. Third, hear them actually speak the words you want to hear. Maybe it's an apology or some great news about their success. Finally, allow yourself to feel the genuine thrill of that news and respond to them mentally. Then, and only then, do you bring yourself back to objective reality. Let's look at the actual mechanics behind those 4 steps. By having this mental conversation, your consciousness acts almost like a beam of light. Your new belief modifies that light. It travels through space and strikes the mirror of the other person's mind, causing them to vibrate in exact harmony with your new assumption. You are literally planting the seed of change in them entirely subjectively. How wild is that?
Section 5. Persisting in the assumption. The power of persistence.
Now, having these mental conversations is super powerful, but the true resolution, that lies in persisting in this new assumption. You really have to audit your mind daily. You must absolutely watch out for reverting to those old mental arguments with the person in your head. Stop accepting the negative evidence of your physical senses, and you've got to curb your negative inner speech. Because sadly, as Goddard points out, we very often just forget our new subjective conversations and slip right back into our old habits.
You see, your inner speech is constantly, and I mean constantly, calling events into existence. Goddard notes that in dialogues with yourself, you're much less inhibited and way more sincere than you are with others. So if you're surprised by your own inner mental arguments and catch yourself mentally seeing people exactly as they used to be, well, you haven't actually changed your concept of them. You're still holding that old reflection firmly in place.
So the most crucial point here is persistence. You just have to remain faithful to your new concept and talk to them mentally as if they already are the person you want them to be. Because an assumption, even if it feels completely false at first, even if it's denied by all your physical senses, will eventually harden into absolute physical fact if you sustain it. Your world will literally rearrange itself to reflect that inner shift.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a profound question to chew on. Take a close look at your relationships right now. Stop blaming the reflection. Instead, ask yourself, what are these people actually reflecting about my own internal world? Change your concept of them, interact with them mentally from that new state, and just watch the mirror of reality transform right before your eyes. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll leave you to ponder that reflection.